So this time, let's start with the quiz.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's see how smart you two are, okay?
Okay, well,
I
I know
have
I'm
my
already going to fail.
I have my suspicion.
I am a failure.
I'm not sure because this sounds hard.
I'm not a spur of the moment type of person.
I think both of you will do fine.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
But I'm looking for an exact answer, okay?
Exact.
Okay.
It cannot be an estimation.
Are we supposed to say, do we answer as a question? Like, is this Jeopardy?
No.
Can we listen? Can we listen to the question? Go ahead.
Yes. And don't blurt out the answer, okay?
then how do
so
we-
take turns.
Okay. Oh,
so
okay.
you go first since you're older, and then you go next, okay? So
I
the
guess.
question is,
Privileged one.
so the question is, what percentage of the world is female,
So do I not say anything?
women?
You said don't blurt
I don't
it
say
out.
anything. You say it.
No.
Oh,
so what percentage of the world
Okay.
out of the
I think it's 60%.
60% of the world is female women? Man, we must be super. Like, how do we survive that?
Yeah, because usually, naturally, females are supposed to be higher number than males. So I'm basing it on that, not counting all the other, atrocities, which may lower the number. But if everything was fine and dandy, we would be at least 60%. But if everything is not fine and dandy, we're probably 40%.
What are we today? Like,
Okay,
as
let me
right
go
now.
with 45.
Okay. Kavita, you went from 60 to 45. That's
Yes.
a big swing.
That's
but,
my math.
Okay, I believe if I don't know the percentage. Okay, let's start
Okay,
with that.
so
But what
you're
I would
guessing.
say is that I'm closer to Benita's 60% than 40%. And the reason I would say that is because I think India and China both have like a net loss of female population. I forgot how much it was, but it was very dramatically less than the male population, maybe almost half of the male population or something like that. Maybe I'm forgetting my numbers, but I would, if I had to choose a range, I would go with her initial answer, which is that closer to 60-ish%. But maybe we need to take into consideration that maybe in some communities in the world, women are not being counted. Maybe they don't even get counted, right? They're not even part of their local census. Yeah.
Okay, so the answer is 51% of the world right now, to this day, the last census is that everyone's had.
So we're majority.
We're 51%. We're majority. But here's what I find interesting. Okay, this is when a child is born, the chance of that child being male or female is 50-50, right? I think we're 51% because women live 6 years longer than men do
Yeah.
worldwide. We're just stronger, I guess we're not stronger like in a physical sense, but we endure through sickness and those kind of things. So a woman will outlive a man by 6 years. That's what I think gives us that one extra percentage of the total
I
population.
agree.
I'm willing
I think
to bet.
net population of women, like across all ages, is probably going to be higher than men for sure. Like you said, 51%.
I would say my guess, if I was to take a guess, the percentage of older women is going to be more because they're outliving
I
the
think so
men.
too.
But I think childhood, if you look at certain parts of the world, and I think somebody mentioned because of, female infanticide, stuff like that, that the percentage of younger girls might be a little bit slightly less, but older women slightly more. And then the middle, I would say, is probably about 50-50.
I think it'd be interesting to find out, like, in which countries do women thrive more? Like, they are born in greater numbers. They have greater success in larger numbers. I wonder, have we ever looked at that? Like,
they
it'd
say
be
that-
interesting. It'd be fascinating to see, like, which areas of the world, which regions of the world do they have that? And what are the environments in those
I did
communities
see
that allow that?
I
to
was
happen?
looking at the data, and this is probably around maybe 4 years ago that I looked at it. So it might be obsolete now, but it was done by OECD, which is the Organization for Economic development worldwide.
Okay.
They're the ones who, the countries that are part of it, they conduct data collection, and then they analyze data in terms of education, gender, all of that. So they had said, in terms of women, they had said actually the gap where, where you said, where are women thriving, right? The gap between like STEM jobs, like techie kind of jobs, in America, in North America generally, we haven't really closed the gap. There's more males than females in engineering, in those kinds of industries, right? But the part of the world that has closed the gap a little bit more than America is India. India, that's where women are actually more represented in the tech industry, in engineering. They have been successful at closing that gap more than Western countries, which is super interesting. And that's why we see a lot of the tech employees, a lot of Indian, they see women are part of the tech industry here. So that's working. But then if you go to, let's say, African countries, there for women to become equivalent to men in terms of career and education, we're looking at like still 50 years gap. So
is that it actually in their statistics or their, okay.
It's in their statistics. So, but they see world, South Indian subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, but in South Asia, there's other factors where we didn't, the goal was by 2015, there were certain benchmarks to be met, which they didn't meet. So now now I believe the goal is 2030. There's certain benchmarks that need to be met. So all the countries that are part of this OECD, then they work on, the United Nations sustainability goals. So that's kind of where the gender statistics are.
That's fascinating. But okay, let me ask you this. We talk about STEM jobs and using that as like a metrics in a way.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that women do contribute to their household, but they're just not valued at the same level.
That's true. Yeah.
And this is very like kind of manual labor in a way when you think about it. A lot of women are stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home person, maybe not a mom, but stay-at-home spouse, and they contribute. They contribute in making sure that everybody, let's say, gets up in the house in the morning, gets them out of the house, makes sure they're fed, make sure they get to their destination in time, letting everybody know, almost like their calendar, their alarm clock, their everything, right?
They're the executive of the house.
CEO of the house. And I tell my agents the same thing. Like, for someone to tell you that you can't be a good real estate agent because you're a woman, do not listen to those people. They're playing mind games with you because essentially you already have the tools, you already have the traits of being a good CEO of the household. You know how to run things. You already know how to be a multitasker, know how to like run the household. And that's what it takes to be a good real estate agent because essentially you're self-employed. So if you can run a household, know exactly where everybody is, what everybody's doing, setting goals for everybody, making sure they're meeting their goals, then why the heck can't you be a good agent or be a good business owner?
You know what?
These are all bizarre things that people plant
also
in women's minds.
But I think there's also a difference between a woman who is, let's say, managing household. There's also another factor involved. They're doing it also. It's a family. They're doing it with the intentions of I'm doing this for my family. But professionally, maybe that's not their thing. So there's also, not everybody has to be. If they're good at profession, they may not be good at household management. They're good in household management. It may not trickle over to their profession.
No, but what I'm saying is that it can. They're not even setting their foot outside the house because they're already told that you're not going to be good outside the household. And I'm not saying, hey, you should be outside and that's more valued. I'm saying you're stay at home, you're happy, you're doing your thing, good for you. But if you want to go outside and work, be in a business environment, I'm telling you, you can do it, but you gotta tune out that negative noise for the people that'll say, but you're a girl, you can't do this.
Yeah, there's a lot
Those
of
are not people who are
forces.
helping you.
No, there's a lot of forces pulling them down as well.
So I think the bottom line is confidence. And that's what I see the problem. I see that as a problem for women in general. I'm not blaming women, I'm blaming the society. Okay. So to your point, if a woman can confidently run a household and do a great job at it, making sure all the appointments are met, making sure the household budget is considered, making sure her husband is succeeding, like that voice right behind him encouraging him, who's encouraging her? And that's the problem. I think the problem is really more of a confidence. You take girls and you raise them with certain expectations of success, they will meet that expectation. The problem is our society, and now I don't know if you guys have heard, this is putting a little funny twist on it. Have you guys heard of this new thing that's going around, and it's by British Vogue?
What is that?
And it says, there's an article in British Vogue, and it's trending, that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. That's the title of.
Okay, tell us more about that, because I want to
elaborate.
I'm fascinated how that's
Because
embarrassing.
that's the title.
The funny
of the,
thing, that's
okay.
the title of the article in British Vogue. Having a boyfriend is embarrassing.
I mean,
Okay.
I agree with it, but I want to know why British Vogue is saying that.
So let me, because I was curious too, because I started
Right.
hearing all this. And so basically what they're saying, even though they're saying boyfriend, what they're saying is, for women, having a man is embarrassing. Why? Because they said, statistically speaking, okay, married women live less, their lives are shorter than single women. Women, when you have a boyfriend, you could be, let's say they're saying that it impacts your aura. Because let's say you have a girl who's doing great in life, suddenly she gets a boyfriend and she's like missing her appointments or not giving herself importance,
But is that boyfriend's fault or is that her own fault?
They're not
That's
saying
what I
it's
wanna know.
boyfriend.
No, I want to hear what she
They're
has to
saying-
say. Let's hear it.
I would really encourage everyone to read that article, because I don't think I'm able to give you all of the points
Right.
that were made in that article. But it's basically saying that women, because the way we are, I've always said that women, we tend to, I don't know what it is. It's our way of loving. We love so hard.
Right.
That we lose ourselves in love. It's a very common women trait. The society
I don't know if
benefits
it's a
from
common
it.
women trait.
I
I mean, again, we don't have evidence of it. I mean, that might be your
But
view.
listen, like when you think about it, every religion, at least in poetry, Sikhi also, right? When we talk about devotion to God, devotion to
feminine
Vaheguru,
energy.
It's the
right?
feminine energy.
So I think there is something about women tend to be very devoted. Now, I'm not saying men are not, but the way women are like, I'm in on this 1,000,000%, and men, maybe there's other factors where they may question, like not going head over heels, or consistently being that way, not
But at
just
the
one
same
time.
time, I think even the energy of strength in Sikhi is also female. If you think about it, how the Ardas begins, Pritham Pagoti Simarke, Guru Nanak later, right? First, think about that feminine energy. First, contemplate on that. And then that's,
So sorry, forgive me. What do you mean feminine energy? What part of it? Because I don't understand the meaning.
Pagati, Pritham Pagati Simarke, right? So this universe, the creator is feminine energy. So even the strength part is considered female. It's not just the soft devotional part, but it's also strong, like Chandi, right? It's a very feminine energy.
The bottom, I do want to emphasize, though, the bottom line is women love hard. We love hard. And I love that about us. I am not dissing that part of us. I think it's beautiful. Because if we didn't love hard, who was
world
going to
wouldn't
reign?
go around.
The world would just cease to exist, in my opinion. Because when that little infant comes, into this world who cannot do anything by themselves, who is that infant entrusted to? It's usually a female in the world.
And think about this, and I love this word, by the way, the word mamta, okay? What is mamta? Mamta is like an actual term that just describes a woman's love for a child. Right?
That's true.
It's not, and if a man is loving a child in a very nurturing way, people will say, "Oh, this father has mamta also."
They're still
but
using
it's
the same
actually still they're
female.
using a mother's love for a child to describe the man's love for their child.
Yeah.
I find that so fascinating, but I do have an issue with that. Articles like that. And I think the issue that I have is, look, I think women sometimes judge other women, okay? And especially the ones that are married and in relationships automatically are seen as less than.
Yeah, I agree.
Less strength. And I don't like that. And I've lived both worlds. Because
we all have.
Right? But I lived both worlds, meaning that I got married very late in my life. And I knew I ran a business. I started my business. I ran a business. I did a lot of things being alone, single for a very long time. And then so I was very much like a single woman for a large portion of my life. And getting married late in my life, when I got married, I felt that people looked at me differently, as if like, hey, I built this business. I did all this stuff. And now everyone's all of a sudden questioning not everybody, but, here and there, people questioning my ability to put a business together. Oh, but you had a guy to help you. He just showed up. Like, what are you talking about? Like all these years, I was doing it by myself.
Well, even our other accomplishment. Let's say you get a degree, you publish, you do all that. There's no you could be married or single. It's regardless of that. It's your own output. This is your own output. And personally speaking, I think I'm the same person as I was 17. I don't think I'm less than, just because now I'm married. So I question the article as well. I don't know the validity of the article or the reliability of the article. Vogue, I don't know if Vogue is necessarily expert on that topic.
Vogue has good
I'm an
articles,
expert
though.
in this topic, I think, because I'm still single. So I will elaborate, and I'll tell you guys, because the world of single dating world and single, that world has changed dramatically in the last about 5 years. And I do believe, so what's happening now is the pendulum was going one way real hard, which was men taking advantage of women. I'm talking about single men, okay, in the dating world.
Right.
Really taking advantage of women, dating and not even giving titles, not even giving
Gaslighting,
importance,
all of that,
these men, I'm just going to say that now, you see couples, and I'll say couples rather than men, you see couples that have been dating for 5 years, 6 years, and the woman is waiting, and she's compelling, and she's encouraging him to get to the next step. But
she is usually in a higher league than that
him.
guy.
Yeah.
That's what drives me
nuts.
nuts.
So the pendulum is going one way, right?
Staying in there.
No, but we're not going to question. These are things that happen, like societal things. Sometimes it's almost like this. I would say that thinking has momentum. So it's very hard to sometimes change that thinking.
It's hard to judge somebody who's in that situation.
So the pendulum was swinging totally to the other side. I think it hit the end and is swinging the other way now. And so finally, this is like the wake-up call.
But the other way means now women are doing the same thing?
No,
too?
but
Or
I think let me hear what you have to say.
So the swing is going, it's now swinging the other way, where women are like, wait a minute, having that boyfriend is embarrassing because you are treating me so badly. You're looking at me as an option where I've prioritized you. So you're taking away my aura, my light. So I'm thrilled about this because obviously I have a daughter, I have a niece, I have friends who are single, I myself am single, that the pendulum is starting to swing the other way, where it should stay in the balance would be the middle. But it's not. It went so far towards where women were being treated as almost like a throwaway option. I think the word option. So now women are waking up, and that article is hitting so hard. And there's a reason why it's hitting hard, because it's just a tongue-in-cheek article. But everyone's like, wait a minute. Finally, people are saying to women, you don't need that type of treatment.
Yeah.
So, but
that's a good sign.
Yeah, one thing I would say, I don't think necessarily it's saying that everyone should throw away their marriages or
No.
or even get out of relationships. What it's saying is that having a boyfriend can be embarrassing.
If
It's
he's
a
an
kind-
idiot.
Well,
Yeah.
having
If he's an
that
idiot, let
kind
it
of
go.
of a
Yeah.
boyfriend
is
can be
embarrassing.
So and also it's encouraging women to choose themselves.
Yeah.
So I am, since
But
we're
I
talking
almost-
about female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish your point.
I would say this. I would say in general, the world, women need to choose themselves. Now, one statistic, can I ask one more statistic to you guys? I'm in the question seat today.
Wait. Let me finish on
Yeah,
that one.
okay.
It reminded me of another thought that is, I wonder if the pendulum swing is now going back to like our parents' time where, you don't just, especially in our community, you're not just dating for the sake of dating. There has to be more respect. Like there's a certain expectation that is to be met. If that expectation is not being met, you're wasting my time. So in a way, it's going back to what people said, well, in old times. Well, old times, those things were better. And maybe now the pendulum's coming to that, be wise about who you're dealing with.
That would be a good point to stop at. Means
Exactly.
if we can just get to that balance.
That balance.
Where you are seeking a partner, but you're not being taken advantage of. You're not just taken in for a ride. And two people are in there with the right expectations.
Exactly.
One more.
Okay.
statistic?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
go. Okay.
Okay, and this one's a little bit of a downer, but it's an important statistic. I think we need, since we are talking about women. Okay, what in the world? Now we're talking about in the world. And I'll give you guys a range because every country is different. But so far, anything I've researched, it came to about that point. Okay, so let's say a range. What percentage? And you can give me an answer in a range. What percentage of women face domestic violence in the world? Percentage.
Percentage.
Well, it depends on the communities.
And it
Yeah, so
depends
give
on
me a
what you're
range.
defining as like, I guess what I'm saying is what is being defined as domestic violence, because are they putting just physical, mental, or everything
Let's say
included?
everything.
I would say 50% at least.
Well, I think
So
I read.
let's say physical, because that's a more defined
Okay.
percentage. Because it's hard to say. You could say you're being emotionally, and how do you prove it? But physical
it's got to be really high.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
gotta
I
be
think
really
I read
high.
a statistic somewhere, and to me, it's high. They said one in 4, maybe. So which would be like 25%.
Yeah.
But then in some communities, it's higher than that. As like if you talk about whole globally, they were saying African American women face it at much higher levels than any other community. And then there's and then men. I think they said 1 in 5 men face domestic violence as well.
Yeah, I think
So in general,
gay
what
men,
do you
yeah.
think?
So
a lot
I
of them
think
are
that
gay
I
men.
think that a lot of it is the
That's
reason
not
when you
what they
say
said. The
when you
statistic
say
didn't say gay.
in the world, what gets counted and what doesn't get counted, and who are the people that are even part of these statistics, because there's so much domestic violence that doesn't get accounted for, right? Like nobody
Unreported. So
We
this
might
is
not
reported.
have the correct
Yeah.
This is
statistics.
reported in some way.
Right. And so when we talk about unreported, excuse me, taking that into the calculation too, I would say probably 50%. It's got to be really high. But unreported, maybe about what Benita said, maybe about 25%.
Yeah, it's about 30%.
Yeah. So 25
Yeah,
to 30 comes
30%,
close.
which is
Yeah.
reported, and we know unreported it can be much higher.
It's gonna be much double.
Yeah, and
at least.
I think we do need to. I mean, if anybody's listening and facing that, please, we encourage you to seek help. Talk to someone, talk to a friend. There's organizations. If you look it up, there's hotlines that you can call. There, you can talk to your doctor. You can talk to your school, your children's teacher. Anyone who can report something like that. And
Yeah.
for God's sake, if you feel like you're in imminent danger, call 911 and get the support.
Right. And another thing, I think some people are in those situations, they don't really know.
They don't know they're
Is this
being-
really domestic
Yeah.
violence?
Yes, it's confusing.
Is it just kind of borderline? Is it
Especially if this was a norm as they grew up and they saw their families, and this became a norm in their mind that this is how it is. So then they think this is how it is supposed to be.
If you're not sure that this is happening to you, if you're not sure that you're in a safe relationship, go talk to a couple of friends, not just one. Talk to a couple of people of different age groups, of different communities. Tell them your situation. Bounce it off of them. Because if you're embarrassed to share it with them, then that's a problem.
Then that's also an indicator.
That's a red flag right there.
That's a really good point. The point comes down to trust your instinct. If it doesn't feel right, it is not right. I don't care what the world says. If it doesn't feel right to you, it's not right. And trust your instincts. Just like it comes down to, like elevator. If two people are going into an elevator, if you don't feel comfortable with another person who's walking with you, male or female, regardless, stay out of the elevator, and because follow your instinct. Your instincts are telling you not to get on this elevator. Who cares if you are offending somebody? Your safety comes first. So I would say here too, even if there's a little bit of discomfort, instinct-wise, trust your instincts 100%.
Yeah. Actually, this is a little bit off topic, but kind of on topic at the same time. So I was sitting by myself. This is on topic of what you were mentioning about the elevator. So I was sitting by myself, and there were not a lot of people around. And I was sitting outside, and somebody parked their truck and got out of their truck, and I'm like watching them from the corner of my eye, got out of his truck and started walking towards me and asking me, hey, can I show you? I need these directions. Can you show me? I say, you stop right there. Now you ask me that question. Stay right there and ask me your question, Good. And I was not embarrassed. I think the old me, the younger me would have been like, oh, you have to be nice to people. Yeah. I shouldn't be judging a book by its cover. But my first priority was myself.
Yeah, safety.
My safety. And I know there's nobody around. This guy had a truck. The truck had a cab, in the back too. And I was like, there are a lot of weird indicators. And I'm like, you don't need to get out of your truck.
You sense those red flags.
Right.
Yeah.
So to our younger audience, I know you want to be nice to people. It's okay. But always watch out for your safety first. And don't be embarrassed to tell somebody what they need to do in order for you to feel safe. And so if you don't want to be with somebody, you don't want them to get close to you, you need to lay down the law. Exactly. Don't be embarrassed to do so.
We've been using the word nice, don't be nice. That's also something that we need to talk about. Like, women are all conditioned to sort of be nice and put up this nice face. Or nice just presence, nice etiquette. Everything is like nice, the word nice. But I was reading somewhere that it's not, you don't need to be nice, you need to be kind. And kindness also goes for yourself. When you worry about your own safety, you are being kind. So it's the kindness that we need to focus on, not the word nice.
Kindness to yourself first. Be kind to yourself. I think that that is so important for women to always remember. Forgive yourself for something that's not perfect, because we always aim for perfection, then we beat ourselves up. We see that, oh my gosh, I think that is most palpable when you see young moms, new moms that are just I've read every book out there, and this is the philosophy that we're gonna follow in our household, and blah blah blah. I mean, they're just trying to raise these perfect kids, and I think what's nice is, I think, Benita, you went through that. As an observer, it felt like it. Okay. And then what was beautiful was when you were like, this is BS. I
don't think I ever read books.
I don't think it was that bad, but I think you were like a new mom thing where you're trying to be
my philosophy was, how can I survive today? That was my philosophy. And my philosophy was, if I have 2 kids, one has to be taking a nap, because I cannot be dealing with 2 kids at the same time. So I had it to the perfection, where if Manshan was up, Jyotsna was sleeping. If Jyotsna was up, Manshan was sleeping. And that helped me survive. I had no other philosophy. My only philosophy was, one kid has to be napping. I don't know if I had any other philosophy.
Did you ever, Upma, did you ever like try to be that perfect mom, like read a book or whatever? Was that ever an instinct? Or did you know people who were like that?
I actually thought I was a perfect mom. So I didn't, I could write a book. That was I was so confident about
like
my
natural instinct.
Yes, I was so confident about me as a mother that I never thought about reading a book or checking what, because I had a happy kid, so like what else do I want? I have a kid who is good in school, is happy, is very respectful, is quite manageable, right? Mancha was easy kid to raise, so I didn't ever need to. Now I wonder, and I'm being kind of tongue-in-cheek funny about it, but I could imagine that if you have a kid who's got, who's a challenge, which a lot of kids, hey, they come with their own personalities. We're not
you
judging.
Just got lucky.
I got lucky. I had a really manageable kid. But I've seen kids, I mean, my daughter's own friends and stuff like that, where they are they just have so much energy. I don't want to say they're out of control. They are, the kid needs to go run a marathon and you're trying to put them in a chair, It's that kind of thing. And in that case, if I had that situation, certainly I would have been reading books to try to figure out, or consulting with someone and saying, hey, what do I do
I
here?
think our mom's influence probably influenced how I parented my children. The way what I knew, how I was raised, I kind of raised them the same way. I didn't have any new philosophies. The only one thing that I would say is my philosophy that I stuck by was, no matter what, nobody's ever going to do any kind of corporal punishment to my kids. The little slap, even if it's little. No, for that child, that would be a moment they will remember for the rest of their life. And I never gave them timeouts. If there was an issue, I used to, I don't know if I want to go into my discipline plan here, but it was a lot of like talking, instead of reading books, which I think a lot of people have this, and I can speak from the educator's point of view also, not just parent point of view. They think you have to sit there and read a book, which is a misconception. What comes before reading is talking. You need to talk to your kids, tell them story orally where they're imagining those pictures and they're imagining those visuals. And then maybe once in a while you can read the book too. But that oral storytelling is so much more powerful than I'm sitting there reading a book and then we turn the page and read the book and turn the page. No, I need to be interacting and saying, oh, what do you think happened next? So that relationship building part is very important.
That's fascinating. So I was just conveniently sitting here and judging you guys on your.
You thought we had a philosophy.
I know, it seemed like it. It seemed like it. As an observer, right? As an observer, and I'm sorry, that's what happens when you see, there are observers. And
when you see good role models of parenting,
dude, we're just trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing is, in my opinion, if I think about the hardest things I've done in my life, raising a child would be up there. And people take it for granted. They take for granted that this woman right now, like this late 20s, 30s, 40s woman, with small children is like that's, she might be working, she might be doing 10 other things, but that raising that child is the challenge.
Exactly.
And whether you have a perfect little example kid or you have a kid who's very needs a lot of attention, they're all going to get sick. You're all going to have doctor's appointments. You're always going to be worried. There's going to be fevers. There's going to be, they're going to throw fits once in a while. That is all normal. And I agree with Benita. I don't believe in corporal punishment. I don't believe in slapping your kid around. I think it is...
it's child abuse.
I'm seeing people do less and less of that, though. I don't see a lot of people doing that anymore.
People don't see it as abuse.
I
see it as abuse because
it's traumatic.
What makes it abusive is you're more powerful than them. You're not of equal strength. You have more... you just have more authority and more power. Anytime the power is involved, that's abuse. And you slapping your kid has nothing to do with discipline. It has everything to do with abuse.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
May I ask you guys this? So when you were kids were young, growing up. Did you ever feel like, who am I? Like, what about my identity? Did you ever feel like your identity as who you are, your likes, dislikes, your presence, your identity, did it feel diminished because you were so involved in these other things? And as the kids grew up, you're like, oh,
Not
I
at
remember
all,
myself
actually.
now.
If anything, I felt like I grew up more. I became a better person than I was before.
More wise.
And the other
Patience.
thing was, or life isn't just about you. It's now life. You learn the whole concept of doing things for others, because now you have these children. They really teach you patience, service, all the great virtues of life that you're supposed to learn. But I think what kept me, which is it brings us back to the women celebrating,
Right.
acknowledging women's topic, is that I kept up with my career and with higher and higher and higher education. So both of my children were born during my master's degree. So I call them my master babies. Why? Because when I started my master's, I thought I was going to finish it before having children.
Right.
But they both decided to come during those 2 years, one at the beginning, one at the end. So by the time I graduated, I started with 0 kids.
Yeah.
I graduated with 2 kids. And believe me, that's where it's a test of patience, because during my academic journey, during that time, I thought, oh, maybe I should take like this quarter off because I'm exhausted, right? You've been pregnant, you've given birth, and you're
Yeah.
writing your master's thesis. But then I thought, no. See, this is where only women, I feel like women have this resilience. I thought to myself, no, if I stop now, I'm never going back to school. It's going to finish.
Yeah.
So I just need to do this.
Power through.
However, whatever it takes, I need to finish this. And I did. And so I don't think the kids necessarily took away my identity or diminished my identity. If anything, I probably strengthened my identity through that. It could have diminished my identity had I just said, now I'm a mom who I don't have time to follow my goals in life. I'm just gonna raise kids. Maybe for some people that might be strengthening their identity, but I think we all have our own kind of wishes. And for me, it was important that I keep going with my own goals as well.
Wow, that's very fascinating.
Yeah, I would say one thing: being a mom is a full-time job. It totally is. So if someone chooses to embrace that and takes a break from work, takes a break or hires a nanny, okay, more power to you. Do not judge yourself, because everyone gets their custom kids. Okay, it's like how we get our custom health.
Yeah.
Like what your health challenges are, what yours are versus mine. 3 different things,
Yeah.
right? So what kind of kids you get, what kind of support system you have within the family, right? Your husband, your in-laws, your parents, your aunts and uncles that are around you, your support system. Financially, how well off you are. If you have the means to hire a cleaning lady or hire a nanny, all of those are factors. So don't, like, my take on this would be, do not judge yourself on how the next door or your friend is doing.
right.
How your sister-in-law is doing or your sister is doing. Everybody's different, and our own mental, what we're strong at, what we're not strong at, we all have stuff that we lean on. Honor that.
Yeah.
Right.
We are not the same. That's what makes the world so beautiful. So I want to acknowledge the stay-home moms. I want to acknowledge the working moms, the ones who are choosing this way versus that way, who are choosing to go to school, who've taken a quarter off, who've taken a year off or 2 years off. All is good. Everyone's custom. I mean, we're sisters. Our 2 experiences are so unique because my circumstances were completely different than your circumstances. But we did the best we could. We raised wonderful kids, and
I think bottom line is do the best you can.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do.
yeah, no
And
one's judging you.
No one's judging.
Actually, in reality, if somebody's judging you, bad on them. Really.
But I think
Because
a lot
no
of
one
times,
should
a
do
lot
But
of
I think
women end
sometimes
up.
we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But exactly, I think a lot of women end up judging themselves. They think they're being judged by other people, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's their own self-imposed judgment in a
That's
way.
the same thing, right? Like when we go to, I take Pilates classes, right? And I really like the instructor. She's very like supportive and stuff. And sometimes she'll say like words of wisdom, and she'll say in class, like sometimes she'll repeat this, that nobody's looking at you. Actually, everyone's so worried about their own self
Yeah.
and how they're doing and how they're keeping up
Right.
that no one cares or is judging you. And I think that's really good to hear. And I think that really applies to life itself.
Life,
No one cares. We're all so focused inwards, trying to just make it, that we're not judging. We're not actually going around judging people.
We're
I
actually
think that's
not
where I kind of started to feel like stronger in life. You know, when you're younger, that's the beauty of getting older, by the way, is that you just
beauty.
don't give a shit about anything. Pardon my French. Is that you start to like realize like, hey, all of those things don't matter. Like I just need to focus on myself. I need to live a good life. And I love my quiet little life. I have a quiet little life. I go to work, I go home, I watch TV with my husband, and then we call it a day, and then it starts over again the next day. And a lot of people are like, well, you don't go out, you don't do this, and you don't do that, you're missing out. And I'm like, no, but I don't want that. I want to be home. I'm a homebody. I want to be home. I like my quiet little life. And you know, talking about not getting judged, I don't have any kids, and that's okay too. You know, and
Exactly.
that
That's a good
I'm
point.
comfortable in my skin, and I have had people ask me, well, when's I literally have a client who calls me every now and then, and he's like, well,
Good news.
how's the bun in the oven? And
my
I'm
gosh.
like, dude,
What?
there's not gonna
even
be
if
a
there
bun in the
was,
oven.
please do not call it a bun in the oven.
It's
'cause
such a gross
not.
thing
Yes.
to say. I don't like it. Oh my gosh. But yes, you know, like, and then how do you tell that person, like, hey, no, that's not going to happen? And I'm okay with that.
You don't
know?
have to say anything. You can just say, when it happens, I'll make sure you're the first person that I call.
No, I actually want people to know that because I don't want people to think that every woman has to have a kid.
That's true.
And I want to be very open about that. Miscarriages happen. I had it. And I'm okay with that. I made a decision that I was older now. And for me, having a child at an older age, there were a lot of risks involved. And I did not want those risks for myself. I, contributed a lot into the world. I give a lot of nurturing into the world. I'm good. I don't have much else to give. And I'm happy where I am. And so I think being comfortable in your skin and realizing that was where the comfort, the happiness sort of comes in. Speaking of diminishing identities, again, going back to getting married at an older age, what I realized is I really had to fight to keep my identity because you would go in and you're, let's say, filling out some application for something or other. Having a middle name, initial K, my husband's first name starts with a K. On this application, people would pre-fill it with his name as my middle. And I said, look, I want you guys to redo this.
Who did that?
And I was like, no disrespect to my husband.
Who did
but
that?
it was at a car dealership. We were buying a car a long time ago. And I was like, I need you. I know I've been here. And they really waste your time when you go to those car dealerships, right?
for
The last
sure.
thing you want to do is go into the finance department and have to redo the paperwork. But I was like, you are going to redo this
Did they
paperwork
do
for
it
me.
in a Sharpie? Did you say that in a Sharpie?
No, I said, you guys redo this because the problem is, look, if it's just on a piece of paper, nobody's going to see it. Okay, fine, but it's going to start showing up on my records. It's going to start showing up on, someone pulls a credit report, it's going to show up as a potential name. No, now I'm already diminishing my name. I
Yeah.
don't want that for myself. I love my husband, but I don't want that for myself.
But have you noticed that in India, even in Punjab, I was actually very much concerned about this trend that we have this beautiful Sikh women have this name Kaur, Kaur, which is so empowering,
Right.
Because it is it's your name by nature. It's nobody gives you that name, not your parents, it's not your marital. Nobody has anything to do with it. It's you chose to be it, right, Kaur? It's your choice, and a lot of the women, I see their Facebook IDs and whatnot. Red flag. You are diminishing your identity. The minute they get married, they say like, their first name, middle name, they give up the core and they put their husband's first name and then their last name. And I'm thinking, since when did that become a trend? Why isn't anyone stopping that trend?
Is it the people from different states outside of Punjab?
No,
because because Gujarati and some other communities literally do that.
Punjab Sikh women.
Yeah.
Because they think I don't know if they think it's stylish.
I think they're
no
cute.
Beauty in
They
it.
think it's cute. Like,
Oh,
I'm
is
married
it?
now. It is not cute.
It's
It's
not
ick.
cute.
Okay. If
It's-
I get such an ick from it.
Yeah.
I'm declaring this. If anyone who knows me, if you do that, I get ick.
It's one
okay,
thing.
I judge you.
Look, it's one thing if a husband and wife have one account and they're sharing, and it's somehow they created a combination of their names
No,
together.
that's different. That's like,
cute.
okay, you
I get
customize
it.
your FB account.
All good. Yeah,
Yeah.
all good. But if you're literally like not giving up your name and using someone else's name, hey, you don't have to do that in our culture. Well, here's another one. You touched upon this. Your God-given name is Kaur, right? Well, I see a lot of women whose, let's say, husband is Singh, and
they
now
take
they
off their
also,
name Singh.
yeah, they'll take. It's like, no, don't do that. You should push back and keep your name as Kaur, and that's abiding by Sikhi,
I agree too.
not the patriarchy, the
something-
Western patriarchy. You don't have to play those games.
Because Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, you're a core.
Yeah, you're a core.
Singh.
You're not a
You're not
Singh.
a Singh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something coursing, like Harneet, like if it was me, Harneet coursing. No, thank you. And I think it is absolutely, you're playing with fire again.
Yeah.
You're regressing. This is not progress
It's a
at all.
regression.
It's a
the-
regression.
These sometimes out of convenience, and again going back to that application small example, out of convenience, I could have just said, fine, just I see what you did. He's my husband. I love him. No big deal, right? But you're diminishing your identity every time you do that.
Absolutely.
And you are gonna have to push back because the world's gonna say no big deal. You take the second line, he takes the first line on this signature line. You gotta kind of have to say, okay, this time he gets the first line, next time I get the first line. Like, you gotta make sure that you always try to bring respect for yourself in that relationship, and including being a mom, being with your kids,
self-respect.
reminding them
I
that,
agree.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm the
Fight those
matriarch.
fights.
I also am the CEO of this house. It's not just go to dad for
But
whatever.
it's self-respect. And I think part of self-respect is also truly self-respecting, meaning self-care. So a lot of women also forget to self-care. They think buying makeup, well, I take it back, even that can be self-care. But, take time out to do something that you enjoy, whether it's going to the gym, exercising, or at home exercising, whether it's reading, taking time out to just read a nice book. A lot of time I don't see women doing, they give up their time because they think that would be waste of time if they're
What
doing
happens
something for
is-
themselves.
What happens is, as a society, we look at things that women like, okay? For example, we might like certain type of literature. Maybe we like poetry. Maybe we like to read romance novels, okay? Watch romance movies, okay? Maybe we don't
Reality
like...
TV.
Okay,
please.
maybe we like
Reality
reality TV.
Yes.
Okay, so anything that is women, that is majority liked by women, somehow the society thinks that, or men, like what I've noticed is men will make it a point not to like it. And if they like it,
Yeah.
then that's, but women, so this is what tells me we have bigger hearts. Because we will, let's say if you have a brother or a husband or a fiance or whatever, friend even, and he wants to go see the next, like,
Sci-fi.
I don't know, sci-fi.
This is my household.
Some kind of violent ladaki, whatever, dishum type of movie, right? And let's say you don't like it. I never like ladai wali movie, okay? But I will be like, chalo,
It's okay, we'll just
like
go.
let's
We're
go. Like, koi gal nahi, right?
accommodating,
We
yeah.
accommodate. Koi gal nahi, chale janne yaar, right? And we'll accommodate. We do that often. I commend ourselves for it. I'm not against it. I think that's the way human beings should live. Okay, we should always have like give and take, but men won't do it. If you're watching, let's say if you're watching a show, okay, a man comes in, if he doesn't, I'm not saying all men don't like it. If he doesn't like that topic, oh God forbid, pura like upside down. The house will be upside down with like some discontentment. Oh my God, now I have to go comment.
Chitter chatter.
He cannot sit there next to you and watch that show that is like to honor you. Let's say if it's reality TV, let's say it's New Housewives or whatever, or is that it's called New Housewives?
No, Real Housewives.
Real Housewives.
We haven't been watching it much.
But whatever it is, hey, I'm guilty. I love those kind of shows too. But that's where I think there's women tend to give a little, like you give a little, and you give a finger and they take the hand.
I caught myself doing some of that. Okay. And I corrected it. Okay. I caught myself, whenever we got into the car, we were listening to these sort of podcasts that were very, bro friendly. and I would listen to him because the reason I was listening to him is, hey, I'm a salesperson. I kind of like to know what other people are thinking and expose myself to other ideas and stay open. And I was listening to him and I was like, okay, well, at some point I kind of got tired of him. Okay. Because they just keep repeating the same thing over and over again, same ideas. So I was like, okay, I see myself. I'm in the car. I always say, "What do you want to listen to?" And he'll ask, "What do you want to listen to?" And then we kind of settle on ultimately what he's most comfortable with. Then I was like, "No, I gotta correct this." And rather than, but I was like, I'm gonna take it an inch further. I want him to start listening to stuff that I like when even I'm not here, so that he gets out of the bro-friendly stuff and gets exposed to the other ideas that are out there. Because men, a lot of times, they don't. Yeah, the sisterhood, the women, that he gets exposed to other ideas. Voluntarily wants to do that. So then I kind of found things that were probably a little bit more in terms of style, what he may like. And we started listening to, like, how about we listen to it? Oh, yeah, sure. Kavita, you listen to what you like. I'll listen, on this particular drive. And so slowly it was like, next time we got in the car, he's like, oh, can we listen to that again? Yeah, that was pretty good. And then the other day he calls me, he's like, hey, what was that you were listening to? I'm working on the car in the house. Can I, can you tell me what you were listening to? I want to listen to them.
Good stuff.
So I converted him and I'm very proud of myself in doing so. And so sometimes it doesn't have to be a strong rebellion.
Yeah.
But marriage is love. Marriage is also manipulation. He did not know he was walking into a trap. And so I think every now and then have those, like, self-correct yourself when you're accommodating and giving in too much.
But I think we also stereotype a little bit here, and say women-centered, like what women like.
Let me just correct. Basically, women talking, because men are not going to listen to women talking.
When a woman is talking,
when the main,
for example, like the reality shows, I don't think I've ever watched Real Housewives ever.
You're missing out.
I know. I don't even know what that show is about.
Atlanta is the best. I don't know if they're doing new ones, but
we were hooked on it. We were hooked on the Real Housewives. Remember?
And what I see is, like, in my house, I notice the males are watching like Pakistani dramas. And I'm like, can I please catch up on the news? Like, can I get TV just for 10 minutes? I need to see what's happening in the news world. So I just go to my phone to catch up on the news because I'm not interested in any of that. Like drama, I have to once in a while. I'll get into a drama series.
Some of them are really good.
Yeah, some of them are good. Some of them are really bad.
They're good. Once I get into it, they're good. But that's not the first thing I go to. And there's that stereotype like, oh, this is a women would like this film or women like this. It's not true. I think there's a little bit of misconception there, and maybe it's just based on the view. We're basing the whole conclusion on views and perspectives rather than hardcore, like, do women really like that? I don't know.
Let's just say women talking. I agree with you.
Okay.
Sorry, Kapta,
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I think when we say women-centric, men have very hard time watching a movie that the hero, the main person, is a woman, or any kind of show where there's a woman who are discussing or talking, they, for some reason, I don't know what it is, they have such a hard time with it.
But
And
is
they've-
that just based on, is this view also just based on perceptions, and or is it truly like
It's
hardcore
my
data?
experience.
Speaking of
It's
perception,
experience.
so speaking of perception, there can be sometimes just a
I think
perception
so,
because, you know, my case study is my husband, so I will reference him, and you know, there are times when he's mentioned like he's big on sci-fi, and no, we have a thing where there are some things that I only love and some things that only he loves. And so when he's sitting by himself, he will watch those you know, extreme sci-fi type of stuff, which I have zero interest in. And then my like really like I love old British shows that I'll watch by myself. And then there are things that we both like. When we're together we watch those things.
Right.
But there are things that he'll say like, oh, I love this show. There's this show called Mayor of Easttown. And I believe that's starring the lady from Titanic. I forget her name at the moment. Kate
Winslet? Yeah.
Winslet, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, that's a great show. You haven't seen it. You have to see it. So sometimes he'll, like, you assume that he's stuck on that brosphere, but he's not. He's open. And I think it's just I think where the problem also is with, there are men that are open-minded, there are men that are not open-minded. The men that are open-minded and still not listening to or not watching women-centric type of stuff is that they don't know that there's a lot of good material. There's this bias, unconscious bias that they have, assuming that anything that's what's considered women-centric will be a bunch of women crying or very slow.
And then same thing with women. Like, we might not watch male-centered, what we perceive as like, oh, there's, I may not tune into that also. So I think the bias goes both ways, actually.
We're
That's
just
true.
saying where is my point is who is accommodating. The bias is both ways.
Women
But
are
we
always
tend
more
to
accommodating.
Well, women
accommodate.
tend to accommodate more.
Always.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we need to challenge our men in our life to also learn to accommodate, you know, when it comes to these things.
And they would, I think, if you kind of, but you have to kind of like get them too, you know, it's like you have to like talk them into it or be a little bit more tactful about it. Because again, going back to that unconscious bias where they assume that this is not going to be entertaining.
So
this
it's
is
one
not
more
gonna
thing
be
we
as
have
good.
to do. This is my problem.
Like
with all-
either we do it or who else is going to do it if we don't
do it. We say it's embarrassing, you know?
But I think that
no,
also,
if you want someone to be, if you think that there's a sense of improvement, right? Then you would do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Like no one is perfect. So if you, and I'm not perfect too. So if we see things that we can tweak, right? Then that's what you should do. And part of it comes from us standing up for ourselves.
That's what I'm
in
saying.
small ways.
There's so much emotional burden on women. There's so much expectation of we change. And this, like, look, at the end of the day, when we think we can change men, then what we do is we say, I can change a man. Your guy doesn't go to movies with you to watch your movies. You didn't train him enough.
It's not.
But then we're
women's-
being judgmental.
Let's just leave it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's,
honestly, I would say leave it. Pick the good ones, leave the rest.
Well, I
No,
would say
that's
if
you're
to,
gonna judge somebody based on what movie they watch as good or bad. That's not like.
But to me, it's
that's an extreme.
To me, it's not just one thing. It's even if we think about like culturally, right? We say, जे कोई आदमी he's weak or we think he's weak, we'll say उन्हें चूड़ियां पाईयां हुई हैं, right? Suddenly we're telling him कि तू
Right,
women
for sure.
It's
Yeah.
like saying you
Yeah.
run like a girl.
running
It's
like
the
a
same.
girl,
Yeah.
चूड़ियां पाईयां. They even when people like when they'll call their daughter beta, and somehow that's supposed to be some kind of an upgrade, right? It's a compliment.
ये हमारी बेटी
ये
नहीं, ये हमारा बेटा है. Like,
I'm
come on.
Why is beti
Yeah.
being so bad that we have to?
That is
we,
a real epidemic in Desi
Right.
culture.
It's horrible. It's ick again. Like, ooh. Like, call
But
a beti
I
a
correct
beti.
if I've heard, like, I
Yeah.
remember when we had the store, like every now and then I would hear that, "Ye aapki beti nahi, ye aapka beta." And I'm like, "No, main beti hu." I'm very proud.
It's on my birth
Yeah,
certificate.
I know.
I'm a
And
daughter.
I'm happy
But
to
you
be
have
a
to correct
beti.
people when they do those things, because they mean well, but at the same time they're
Yeah.
insulting you, and so it's
That's why
you got to correct people.
as a society, because this is not one person that you can correct. It's not like Uncle Joe over there is always saying this. I've never heard anyone else say this is so
Bun in the
bun in the oven. It's we have culturally, and it's not just our culture. We
No,
have as a
every-
society
yeah.
because Gorean the same thing, right?
same thing.
They say the same thing. Ki kande tune kya sikhana?
Well,
Like he
like,
runs like a girl,
He
right?
runs like a girl,
Girl or-
we're walking our daughter down the aisle to give her away.
Way, yeah.
And I'm like, since when? She's a human being. She's
Why
not
are
a
you giving her
slave or
away?
property that
Or
you're gonna
Kanyadan, it's the same thing,
Kanyadan.
right?
You cannot give away somebody. She should be walking by her own will, and she's not giving herself away. She's getting married into this equal partnership. Hello. So I think that some of this vocabulary and
It's
the
very harmful.
expression, they have survived
Mm-hmm.
decades and centuries, and we do need to be conscientious of how we're speaking,
I think
because
we need to-
what we say matters, and
Yeah.
these words are conceptual. They're
These
not just words; they carry
Words
concept.
matter so much, so much. Like our societies are built on words. Our self-talk, how we talk to ourselves, how we talk about these things, how we're talking to our daughters. We're calling them beta. And she's very proud of it. She's like, I'm the beta. And then poor girl, goes 13 and has period. And the dad's like, that was nice knowing you, beta. Now you're a beti. Now you can't do this. Now you have to wear a chunni. Now you can't walk down the street. So it's like, it's such a like bait and switch type of situation, which our girls face. A lot of the girls face.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we didn't have that kind of situation in our family. We were very lucky. We were probably one of the exceptions.
We
And
were.
I take that privilege that we had
Right.
because that is not common. And I see that now. And we're the last generation. I'm talking about the current generation when I talk to my daughter's friends and they see friends, and some of the stuff that they face in their families, the discrimination they face for being girls versus how their how their brothers are treated versus how these girls are treated. It's crazy. Their fathers are still slapping them around,
No way.
for coming home late. All of that, this is going on here.
Yeah.
And then please, I don't want to hear India mein aisa nahi hota. India is very. Go to India's village. India is mostly villages. How are the girls being treated in villages is how you're treating your girls. Exceptions, we're not going to manage by exceptions. 1-2% is doing great. Great start. Now everybody follow them.
Or even like we're talking about Desi community and the girls, but here, it's like all of a sudden when somebody speaks English, people think they might be more modern.
Modern, yeah.
But it's not true. It's
Right.
far from being true. Some of the most non-English speaking are more modern than some of these people would ever be. And then if you go to the Western culture, they also still have like girls' family pays for the wedding. There's also this culture of women being somehow as if they're like some sort of a liability.
Burden.
I think in the Western world, I think it's a little smoke and mirrors when it comes to women truly being liberated, right? I think there's still sort of there's a border drawn, and it's like, okay, it's a little bit wider than other communities, but it's still a border, and you just get to play within that border. Do not push the boundaries.
The glass ceiling, in a way.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what class you belong to. Do not push those boundaries, because when you do, then you'll see.
Then
you're
you'll
gonna
see.
see those boundaries, because until you push, you don't see those boundaries, and they exist, and that's part of the reason why. Hey, at the end of the day, in the Western world, we still don't have a female president till this day, and that sucks. And I don't care. I don't even care which party, but
But at the
it would
same
be
time,
nice to
the
see
Western
somebody.
world looks at the Desi world as if we're the ones, the Desis are the one where this, girls may not have all the liberation or freedom. but they forget to evaluate their own culture.
And what frustrates me is a lot of times when they judge who's liberated is based on the kind of clothing that a woman
Yeah.
can wear, is allowed to wear, I should
right,
say.
right.
And I would say, hey, if a girl wears a hijab, but she made a decision to wear that hijab, she's more liberated
more
than the
liberated.
girl in the bikini who did it because she
goodness.
was supposed to, because people expected her to dress a certain way.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of liberation or freedom is kind of messy in this sense,
Yeah.
because if somebody puts such a neon, that doesn't mean that person is somehow lacking freedom.
Right.
There's hijab, chunni, turban. These have very strong concepts that go with it. So they're carrying those principles with them when they're dressed like that. Versus you're wearing a bikini or really, really short skirt. What's the principle behind that?
Look, at the end of the day, if she decided to wear a bikini or she decided to
that's
wear
fine.
that for whatever reason,
But to me, that idea isn't
that is
necessarily...
that is liberated without someone else telling her.
No, I agree with that. But I think my point is, if you're going to judge based on the clothing, the liberation concept, then let's judge it using that criteria itself. That part, that one hand, this person is carrying their principle. What are the principles behind this person's,
I
right?
wouldn't question it.
There
They don't
doesn't
have to
need
have
to
any
be-
principles.
No, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, if that is to be a
Let-
criteria.
It was interesting.
Because
So
they judge it based on that
I
criteria.
realized
That's what I'm
this.
saying.
I realized this one time many years ago. I was at some coffee shop and there was a newspaper, and the newspaper was open, and on one side there was a lady wearing like a full-on burqa, and on the other side there's Angelina Jolie. I think her movie came out and she was wearing some short shorts and whatever, right? Her character's clothing. And there was a guy there, and he's like, oh, see the woman who's liberated, she's more independent, right? Pointing to Angelina Jolie over the other lady. And I said, sir, it doesn't matter. If she decided to wear that, then she's more liberated. If she's wearing that just to appease the audience and whatever her director and producer wanted her to do, then she's not liberated at all. Also, they're both the same. They're just playing different. They're just having to play different games.
Yeah, I read somewhere that modern means when you do what your beliefs are. That's modern. If you can stay true to your own identity, your beliefs, you're modern. If you change according to what, either to assimilate or according to please other people's expectations, then you're backward.
The thing is, what I find really interesting, I would say that if a woman, sometimes I think we take bodies too seriously, like covering up, wearing this, wearing that. Oh, you're wearing this, you're wearing that. Even in men, okay? The object of clothing is to cover and protect, okay? That's actually the object of clothing, to cover and protect you. Anything outside of that is optional, okay? If you don't want to be covered or protected, walk down naked, I don't care, because I let you be free. That's your freedom, The problem is, with a lot of the women get sexualized, that's the main problem. And that doesn't end with women. That can even go down to like teenage girls and preteen
much so.
girls.
Have
and
you seen
God
their
knows what?
clothes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that if a girl is wearing a flowy dress, let's say, okay, and her ankles are showing, she's going to be sexualized, okay? If she's covered head to toe in a burqa, she's going to be sexualized because then they can still see. Now I've seen burqas where they're even, if you have beautiful eyes, don't worry, there's a burqa on burqa, okay? I'm sorry, that's abuse. I call it what it is. That's abuse, okay? When women are supposed to be behind doors and they cannot publicly exist, that's abuse, okay? I don't care. I actually, personally, and this is my own personal behavior, you can put a color of religion on it, you can put any color you like on it, I call it abuse. That's
But
my
I say
opinion.
no. My
abuse.
opinion is that if somebody chose to do it,
Right,
it's not
that's
they're doing
different.
it because other people told them to
Yeah.
do, or society made them do it, or they have to hide themselves. If they wanted to do what they wanted to do, whatever that may be, that is liberated. If
But
they
if
decided
they're-
to do it,
if-
not because of brainwashing or appeasing somebody else, that's a different story altogether.
But I think if they're mandated by law, that's abusive. The
Right.
choice is different, but I think the problem becomes when either some sort of a power plays, whether it's the family policy, whether it's the government policy, whether it's the country's policy, then it's abusive. Then definitely it's a suppression of free expression. But if it's your choice, it's fine. What's
What's your guys' opinion about what's happening in Iran right now? So I don't know if you guys are aware, but they have that burqa law, and the women in mass are saying we will not follow that law altogether. So
Yeah.
it's like a mass protest.
Yeah.
I haven't kept up
And
with the
they've
news.
they've completely done away, and they're in the streets just being themselves, wearing normal clothes. No, they're not. They're not dressed provocatively or anything like that. Just normal everyday clothes, is stuff that we're wearing. But they're saying that what I read was that the beauty of it is that because it's en masse, they can't. It doesn't matter if there's a law. You can't put everybody in a
Right.
jail. There's not enough jails. So I agree with you, Kapta, what you were saying, that if it's your choice. If I want to lock myself in a room, it's my choice. Okay, I agree. Okay, that's if I don't want to go to your party, my choice. I get it. Of course, I draw the line where there's mental manipulation or some kind of a coercion or pressure, and that's where we have to draw the line,
Yeah.
right?
Any kind of suppression
Yeah,
is
any
and
kind.
we're at the women's topic. Coming back to that again, I would say, yeah, I think over the centuries, women across the globe have been suppressed, and I would say, whether with language, like we were talking about language, the words we use, whether it's you can wear this, you can't wear this. If you're a widow, you have to wear this color, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Now that you're married, you have to wear this necklace or put this stuff, or it's like it's all laws made by probably patriarchy. Now, if you think about it, going to Bollywood or previous episode, there was, I think, the Shreya Ghoshal and Lily Singh were talking about it, and Shreya Ghoshal, who sings beautifully all these amazing songs, she said, but they're not written by women. The songs are actually written by men, but it's the women singers singing it. And that's why some of the lyrics feel uncomfortable to us, because that's not how we think.
That is so true.
That's so
and by
good.
the way, I have actually noticed that in some movies where they'll say, okay, well, we're going to make, there's whatever, Superman, and then they'll have a female version of that. And those movies don't do as well, generally speaking. Okay. And the reason they don't do well is because you're just taking how the man would behave, but just transferring it over to this female character, and it's like it doesn't seem genuine.
But it
because
was
they're missing
interesting.
those little details.
Yeah, the
that
nuances.
that only like if it was written by a female scriptwriter that they would understand, or at least have a partner who is, that they can provide that depth to that character, because those characters just don't land well.
But now
because
think
you're
about-
like, no, like that she
Yeah.
seems so flaky.
So think about like some of the songs that make us like kind of uncomfortable, like Sheila Ki Jawan. A women lyricist may not have written those words, and it's men writing it. So there's that objectification of all kinds happening within that song, whether it's objectifying them as something subservient in the society, whether it's objectifying them as some just a sexual object, different types of objectification, or limiting them to certain roles like wife or mother or sister and nothing else. that is, but the women singer are singing it, and we think it's a female feeling, and
yeah.
it's not.
It's funny going back to what you were saying. No, I once was in a conference where Reese Witherspoon was the guest, and she makes really
does.
good quality stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
so she has her book club and all of that, and so hearing her was actually joyful. If I like really joyful. One of the things she said is that she was in movies you'll see once in a while a character, right?
I heard
it
that
turns
speech.
around
Yeah.
and goes to their cover. So it's a female character turns around to the man. Let's say they're in a strange situation, right? And she'll turn around. What do we do next? And she goes, I
do we
dare
do
you.
now?
What do we do now?
Yeah, what do we do now?
She said, I dare you to ever think of a situation where a woman will turn around to a man and say, what do we do now?
In real
She goes,
life?
She goes, that will never happen.
Women go into action right
Women
away.
go into action. And so she said that was her goal when what she started taking is these stories that were women centric, and she started supporting that. And I think she was producing it and also acting and stuff, right? And she said that was part of the thing, because this stuff that the women are, it's one thing women are not represented, but they're also misrepresented, which is even a bigger problem.
I'm sorry, I've seen her stuff. She still misrepresents women to some extent, but I don't want to go into that.
But it might have been, so remember.
There's very little representation in those shows that I watched of hers, and when there is, it's not a positive representation. Every time I watch some of her shows,
Maybe
and so I've
maybe
given up.
that was her, like, as a newcomer, she did what she needed
Yeah.
to do. But she may have evolved, because I've seen that clip where she goes, and then the woman turns around and go, what do we do now? And that stayed with me. Were you
Yeah.
at that same place?
I was
listening to
there.
her?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. I was. It was such a pleasure listening to her, and it was like her whole thing is now very women centric, because she's actually a very smart person. She's one of those people who reads like few books a week, no matter where she's at, what she's doing. And so she said that she's Hollywood, and she was talking about how Hollywood is not the place for women. It's a struggle to try to find. She goes, she couldn't find the roles that she liked.
Yeah.
So she was like, just work in whatever, because you actually don't have those roles. Have you guys heard of this other thing where, and I wish maybe I'll look into it, but it's where somebody came up with a gauge or a barometer of how if you look at a movie and you rate it on certain criteria, and then you can say that this woman had some representation of women. Okay. And one of the criteria was if two characters talk to each other, and it can be a smallest conversation, two female characters talk to each other about anything other than a man. That's one of the criteria. Most movies fail. That's the criteria most movies fail.
I've seen the statistics on
Yeah.
where the female representation is the least.
Mm-hmm.
The surprising thing was, and I think, and I'm maybe missing some of the conversation here, but I think Disney shows, which you think like, oh, Cinderella, Snow White, but they're not really actually female-centered shows, which was kind of surprising, because we saw that in one of our math conference on data analysis, and it was interesting that a lot of the movies, the female dialogues are also less. So if there's even if it's a female leading role, the amount of dialogues that females have are actually much less than what a male has.
So funny thing, there's a Hollywood movie called Dune 1, not Dune 2. So Dune 1. When it came out, there's a huge amount of advertising, okay? And just so much advertising. I'm forgetting the girl's name. She used to be on one of the Disney shows. And this girl who is very glamorous, and they just like, it was like, oh, she's in it, and I think it was Timothy Chalamet. They're both in it, constant like photos everywhere. They're in a London premiere, they're in Australian premiere, they're in American premiere, right? Like just everywhere. The movie finally comes out. We watch it, and it was not that good. And when we watch it, her scenes were literally like maybe 5 to 10 minutes all together in that film. And I think she said like maybe one line. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe like one line. And I was like, what the hell? It wasn't even like, oh, you need a measuring tape to figure out, you know, some special way to measure like her part. It was so obvious. Like, what I was like, why is she going to every premiere? Like, this is ridiculous. What's funny is that, and I've seen this time and time again when it comes to movies, they'll say women are not marketable, so the actresses usually get paid less. But when it comes to marketing the movie, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And then you watch the movie and you're like, she was hardly in it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why did she even go to the premiere? I wouldn't even show up. Like, you're hardly there.
It's the same thing with like when you watch Bollywood movies, right?
Same thing. Yeah.
A lot, unless it's like specific woman-centric movie. If you have like Shah Rukh Khan movie, let's say there's Deepika Padukone. Okay, tiny bit part. He's got like the majority of the part.
Yeah.
And they are great actresses. I mean, they obviously know what they're doing. Yeah. They've been to acting school, I suppose, or something, or they've taken some training. These are great actresses, and they're being used for window dressing. Just put them in there. You know, it's like just, it's kind of like the same thing like in the 1990s, if you remember that in Bollywood movies, there were a lot of item songs. That's when the whole concept of item songs started. Like Raveena Tandon did that, I think, Tu Cheez Badiya Mast Mast.
But she was in the movie, though. That was
one of the actors. Oh, you're right. She was, but Karishma Kapoor wasn't. Karishma Kapoor had one song. I forgot the song now. It was a long time ago. But she was there just for the song. But if you didn't know, you would think both of them are in the movie. And that gets repeated over and over again, and even when
but
you
even
think
like okay, so in Hindi movies, especially from the 70s and 80s, I'm glad that trend died down a little bit. Is like the scene of women being raped was so common.
oh God,
Right.
It was so common, and then after that, it wasn't any justice to that woman. It was like, okay, ab main apni jaan de dungi. You know, so it was like, it was considered like the right thing to do. Like you should just now
kill yourself.
Because
your value's gone.
You're no longer worth anything in our society, in our world. So I think the morally ethical thing to do is you should just kill yourself. That's the right thing to say.
Even the word they use is izzat loot li.
And I'm like,
how do you kisse di izzat kinj loot sakdi hai?
You can't.
Right? You can't. You actually, and you know, this whole thing with honor, and how do you put honor in a woman's?
They don't say she was assaulted.
Yeah.
She was violently attacked and assaulted. Izzat Lutlai.
Yeah.
How is that? So that means something was taken, you are less than now because something got taken care out of you.
Yeah.
Versus so-and-so is a criminal monster who attacked you viciously, you know. So talking about women, in England right now, there's that horrible thing happening where now it's a second Sikh woman who's been attacked. I won't say the
Raped.
R word.
Raped.
Yeah, but attacked viciously on the street by somebody. And that's another thing that people who want to oppress a society, they attack women. You know, so women is also throughout the centuries they've been used as, you know, like,
you know what was really strange?
Look at the Mahabharat Draupadi, the whole episode of Draupadi, right? Women is always on stake for whatever these powerful people want to do.
They're part of men's ego.
They're part of men's ego.
It's like, I have gold, I have this beautiful chair, okay? I have earrings, and I also have a woman. Like, basically, that's a man's point of view. Like, I have all these things, assets, and this is my asset. And the minute you take my asset away and you take away her value, honor, then she becomes my liability. Hun jaake mar jao.
Yeah.
That's it. You know,
Well,
apni
and then
jaan le lo or
look
whatever.
at Sita.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing. You know, you are not going to be considered pure and valuable unless you sit in fire and prove yourself. And I love the fact that Sita was like, I'm going down in
Like,
the earth.
bye.
I am down.
Bye.
And I think
going back to that England thing, it was really strange that, okay, what happened was, very traumatic. It was also called a hate crime.
it is.
And what was crazy is that when there were people out there that actually protested when this happened, that there needs to be more security. We need to call out this hate crime. But the guy who was speaking said, she's very traumatized. She can't even look her family in the eye.
Oh,
and
who
I was
said
like, why
that?
would you say that? That's going back to that whole Izzat
Izzat
thing,
thing.
right? So we need to get better in how we address these
We
things.
need to say
and
we are going to make sure she stands up tall and has the ability to tell the
So
world,
she's-
Right.
so that it doesn't happen to other people.
exactly.
She's traumatized because she was attacked.
Not
okay?
because she-
Not because of the izzat lut gayi.
Yeah.
This whole word honor and izzat, can we please just bury it somewhere and never to
Or
be seen
they
again?
needed to put a woman up to speak rather than
Actually,
a man
that
up
would
to
have
speak.
been more.
Right.
It's the same
We
thing.
do
It's the
need-
same thing where like song is being written by somebody else
Yeah.
about women. He's speaking on behalf of a woman. How does he know how she feels? He doesn't.
He's speaking from her family's point of view instead of her point of view.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. So I think what we need is more leadership
We
of
do.
women in the Sikh community
Yes,
in particular.
oh my God.
We don't
Can we do
have
that?
good communicators out there. We don't. And I think the thing is that when women go out there to speak and represent, they have to be very cautious in how they speak. They have to filter their language. And I would just like to see a leader that says, F this. I'm going to talk from my heart and I'm just going to go out there and address issues. The only time they have women as providing input in the gurdwaras, unfortunately, is thoda bahut langar di koi input hoye ode bare, or kids ਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਜ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖੋ if they're talking or kids are chitter chattering, it's always like, oh ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ address
Or
ਕਰਾਂਗੇ,
the
otherwise
do's
they
and
don't address
don'ts are
women.
written from, not that we have do's and don'ts, but if somebody comes up with do's and don'ts, they're written from a male perspective.
Right.
Apni beti, don't give your daughter away to somebody who is like this and this. I'm like, and don't give your son away to somebody who's like, it needs to be, don't give your child
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And again, even that language in itself, like giving away,
It's
is
important that
problematic.
we address when people misspeak like that. Some people are just used to talking that way, and we have to
That's right.
remind them, and then they say, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I gotta say it that way too," even though they may think of it. They just, for some reason,
Their
it's always
language has been
the burden
trained
is always
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think we need a lot of change. We need a lot of change.
We need to
but-
demand change. But we can't expect somebody to change. We need to start asking for that change too.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
even small steps, because I saw like one grandma one time in front of me, her 5-year-old, she just slapped her. And
Oh,
and
my
I
God.
said, you need to stop now. And this was an elderly person, but so it was, I'd never done that before. So I'm like, you need to stop. And she looked at me, she's like, she keeps crying. I'm like, she keeps crying because you slapped her. The more you slap
Yeah.
her, the more she's gonna cry.
So what are you expecting her to stop?
Yeah.
If she starts
And-
laughing, then you're
yeah.
gonna.
And
you're
I
gonna
got a
be mad
psycho
too.
kid.
And
Sorry.
I told her, I said, if I see you do that again, I'm calling 911 for child
Good.
abuse. You do not slap. And I told the kid, if she ever does this to you again, you slap her right back because you have the right to defend yourself. And I told one of my good friends, again, this whole spanking thing is out of control in our culture, whether you're spanking boys or girls, it's out of
Right.
control. And I've told another kid too, to my friend, I said, you can push her back. You can push your mom back. She should not be.
They're never going to have you in their home again.
No, they're still lucky. They're like, oh, why did you say that, Didi? I'm like, I said that because you're doing something completely wrong. Think about our Sikh culture. We've had Guruji, who was very young. A lot of Guru Gobind Singh Ji was also very young, right? Guru Har Krishan Sahib Ji was maybe 5'8". Look at Sahibzadas. We can't just assume that the kid doesn't know, so they can be slapped around. No, that's wrong way of thinking.
When you think about it, like if you think about your own childhood, and we've all had childhood. Nobody can say I never had a childhood. Everyone who's walking around as an adult was a child once. If you think about yourself as a child, you realize how aware and awake you were. You had feelings.
Were observing.
You were observing. You were actually judging. You were hurt.
You're processing.
You're processing. You're understanding. And with your little knowledge that you have, like, of the world, like, there's lots still missing.
And it shapes who you are today.
Yeah. So if you think about it, there's no reason. A child is very well able to reason with you. The key is to look them in the eye. I mean, if I see someone who's slapping their kid around, I see someone who never looks at their kid like a human. Yeah. Okay, so if you're doing that, stop. Look at your kid in the eye and have a conversation like a human.
I think there's a desperation. Well, I mean, I think with some parents, there's like a desperation. Like, how do I need instant results right now.
And then it's that parent's own problem.
Yeah, that's your problem.
It's not the child's problem. Yeah. It's their problem. Right. They need to take a deep breath and say, how do I deal with this? Versus what you're teaching your child is when you're completely frustrated, it's okay to be violent. That's
good point. Yeah.
That's not what we want to. If anything, yes, that moment is difficult, but you should also remember as an adult that I'm modeling a behavior. When there's frustrating point, how do we deal with that frustration? You just go, okay, let's talk about this. And I know with my kids, I used to take them out for ice cream one-on-one, only one kid, because I needed to make sure that we spend at least half an hour just one-on-one. And we would go eat ice cream, and we would just look at the cars passing by and just say, isn't life wonderful? And that would take me through the whole week without any problems, right? So it's just spending time.
Yeah, and with my daughter, I had a little bit of a different way of handling it, which I did use timeout, but it wasn't a negative. There was nothing negative about it.
But she was in the context of family. She wasn't removed from the situation.
No. So what I did was,
I remember
in our old condo, we had that stair, the big stair. Right. And everybody's shoes used to be there. So I used to tell her, like, you have to go over there to the stair and think, but it wasn't just meant to punish, but I want you to go over there and think about why you're being in timeout and think, well, let's say if she'd hit someone. Let's just say, not saying she did, but I don't think she did it.
I'm just using that.
She misbehaved in some way. Yeah. Okay.
I don't even remember her misbehaving. I'm going to be her Masi here, and I'm going to say no. She never misbehaved.
No, it was the cutest thing.
It was always something.
The cutest thing.
Okay, so let's say she did something wrong.
She threw her water or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I would say, go over there and think about what you did. And it was never more than 5 minutes. I think it was like 2 minutes. And that's enough for a kid. And what she would do, and I realized later, she would take everyone's shoelaces and she would tie them together. So we had all these shoes with shoelaces tied together. And then I would go over there and be like, okay, so did you think about what you did? And she was, yeah. Did you learn something? Why do you think I sent you there? Oh, you sent me there because of this and that. Okay, good. Good job. Good job. Yay.
It wasn't punishment.
I remember one time I had to get to school, and I was still at a university, and I had to go, and I was running late. And I'm like, okay, grab these shoes. And I look at my shoes and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, there's just a knot over a knot over a knot over a knot. Like, it was just ridiculous. I was like, forget it. Well, like, what the hell happened here? Who did this? So now realizing it was her.
Yeah. She wasn't really thinking. She was learning
very
how
good
to
at making
tie
knots.
shoelaces.
But it was enough for her to know that actually the main idea is to separate them from the situation. Yeah. That's actually, and mummy taught us that, because she would do that too. Like, ਗੱਲਾਂ ਚ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਗੱਲ, like ਉਹਨਾਂ the instead of really focusing on it, you distract them or something.
And that came from actually like our Nana ji. So even in the classroom, when there's a kid who's challenging, I think about, instead of when I'm about to like lose my patience, I think about my Nanaji, and he would say, think about how he handled us. And he would say things like, oh, even actually the most troublesome kid who was actually causing the problem, he's like, who was mad? Who was bad to you, right? So it's almost like this kid is the victim and not everybody else. Like, who did something to you? And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I wasn't, all of a sudden you feel like, oh, somebody's listening to me, and your temperature level would come down all of a sudden, like, oh, somebody's actually being kind to me.
Yeah.
So it was that kindness, like kill them with kindness. And who was mad at you? Come here. Go away, everybody, right? Because he could see that actually the one who's the bully is probably the most troubled kid
one.
who needs to be taken care of at that
Yeah.
time,
Can
not
I-
everybody else.
Yeah,
And I
that's
do
true.
that in my class, like, oh, who did that to you? Did it make you feel bad? And they'd be like, yeah.
I think I do that with my clients. Like, but
it's a good strategy.
Yes,
It's a good
I'm gonna go get them for you. Don't
that's
worry,
like
we got this.
acknowledging
Yeah.
that's acknowledging somebody's feelings.
So, one thing that I tell a story
Yeah, go
about,
ahead.
I love our Nanaji Sardar Avtar Singh. So one time I witnessed him doing this. It was the funniest thing. Because kids were like, our younger cousins were all fighting with each other. It was just like war going on, right? And he's like, okay, what's going on, right? And they're all pointing at each other and he goes, I can't hear any of you. He said, what I want you to do is go select a lawyer for like make two groups of
He
like,
was
'cause
very-
he
I
goes,
can
I want you to select a lawyer, and that person comes to me and explains to me
Yeah.
what's happened, and you have to present your case. And these little kids, I'm talking about like,
They're like,
4 or
"You go tell
5-year-olds,
him this. You go
they
tell him
calmed
this."
down because they suddenly had an assignment to do.
Yeah.
Like they felt like they would be able to represent themselves. So
Yeah.
that was some brilliant parenting by him.
He was brilliant. And
Yeah.
his example keeps me sane in the classroom, because you have, so I would just think about him. Like, he would just start chopping fruit and say, do you want an apple? Right? So you forget whatever else was happening. The art of distraction, the art of acknowledging someone's feelings. He would make you feel respectful or respected, that you are respected. You're not to be looked down upon. And I think probably the women empowerment in us
Comes from him.
comes from him.
Yeah.
And we can say all day long that he was a man and not a woman, but I think he had something that makes a case, the importance of the father figures in the family, the role they play in empowering women in the family.
There was a study done actually along those lines, and I read this a long time ago.
I'd rather just talk about our Nanaji the whole time, but go ahead.
But there was a study done, and it said that the father figures had, when they provided attention to their daughters, that created very strong and confident daughters. And I think for me, I would contribute some of that to my dad, because our dad, because I think growing up, he always made me feel like I could accomplish anything.
Yeah.
And there was never like, and sometimes I would be like, why can't I just be a princess like the other dads treat their daughters? Like, no, we were not treated like
No.
princesses.
No.
Both mom and dad never kind of focused on, oh, you're so cute and you're so pretty.
I don't think we ever heard
I
like,
didn't
you're
even,
so cute.
Yeah,
No.
no. I don't think I even knew the
was
concept
more
of
like
looking in a mirror
you
until I
are-
was like 13 or
I
so.
think it was more like, wow, my kids are so wonderful. Like, we may have
but
heard
going
things
back
like
to
that.
going back to dad and that influence, I think that created such a strong foundation for me, where I grew up always thinking, never doubting myself, never thinking I'm less than.
Yeah.
And that was because even when we had the store, Desi store, there were a lot of like, sometimes we'd get heavy boxes and so on. It was never like, oh, Kavita, don't pick it up or don't do this because you're a fragile girl. It was like, yeah, here's the pallet. We're all going to move it in. Let's all go,
all
right?
go.
So
Yeah.
it was great because like, my brother and I, we got treated about the same way. Like, it was never like, oh, he's going to do more or he's going to do less. And, it built confidence
But dad
in
has
me.
a way of, dad also played a huge role, because dad has a way of saying things almost under his breath that leave a lasting impact. So, before I did my doctorate, one day dad was sitting there. He's like, so when are you doing your doctor degree? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started researching and I enrolled. It wasn't, I always had that as a goal, but I wasn't driven for it yet
Right.
until dad said, so when are you doing your doctor degree? And I'm like,
You're
That
like,
was
even
enough.
dad
It's the
noticed.
expectation.
that was enough. That was like,
Yeah.
it takes you back to like you're a 5-year-old. And dad said, aren't you going to finish your second grade?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then just recently, I bought a new computer. And, for yourself, that whole self-care thing, I'm going, I don't want to spend so much money on my computer. I'm just going to get something basic or whatnot. And I'm like, Dad, this is like $1,000. And dad goes, well, you deserve it. And I said, okay. Then go to the cart. This is the computer I'm buying. Because I don't care. Because my dad said I deserve $1,000.
My daddy said I could do this.
I mean, that's the power of like parents in general,
Yeah.
the parent voice. But dad says it in one sentence. It's because
There's no dwelling on it. It's just it's
it
said
just
and
is.
it's done.
Yeah.
It's a
like mom
Yeah.
would say, okay, let's think about this. Let's compare prices or something. That analytical skill
Yeah.
definitely mom gave us.
Yeah.
But dad's thing is, well, why are you thinking about it? You deserve it.
Right.
So now I bought $1,100 worth of computer because my dad said, you should have it. You work hard enough.
I did too. Maybe he was like in both of our ears.
But like big, like
Right.
even one is a huge decision.
Yeah.
It came from basically one sentence. When are you doing your doctor degree? Second sentence, you deserve it.
Right.
Yeah, I think our dad thinks we are like some kind of superwoman. I mean, that's the impression. That's the impression I always get being in his company. Like when he talks to us, he has such high expectations that it's like
But
you.
it's not expectations like
He's
logical.
very proud of us.
It's just because
He's
he
very
thinks
proud
we
of us.
can.
We can. No,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Right?
His
Yeah.
expectations are inherent in him because he thinks that his daughters are that capable, which
Exactly.
is like such a beautiful thing. Because when I think about the society that we live in and where we come from, and our dad was born in the 1940s. So when you think about that aspect of
Right.
it,
Yeah.
that. But he's always women empowerment,
Right.
which
Right.
is really
Right.
I think we
interesting.
got lucky with like big empowerment from Nana ji, and
And
then
then
and
dad.
then we got dad, and that has to be universe. That has to be like universe's blessing for us.
Of course.
And that's
not everybody
yeah.
has male figures like that.
And that's the importance of having good male figures in society for
They
all
say-
the young girls.
Yeah. No, we need allies, and they say that like, what can men do? Because like we might have some men listening. They're like, okay, well that's fine. I hear you, but what can I do? It's so important. It's like this: when you spoke up for that kid who was being slapped, you were an ally. Okay, you were an adult. You saw another adult abusing. You spoke up. Suddenly, that kid gets a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying women are kids, but what I'm saying is when one side has an upper hand and the other side needs allies.
Needs someone to stand by them.
So male in the society can be allies. Now
can
dad,
be.
I want to give this example. Dad is an ally.
He's
he's been an ally, and I've
100%.
witnessed it myself when dad ran our desi store for a long time. Well, that was his desi store. So multiple time I saw that. One time there was a girl, like 18, 19-year-old. Her dad was marrying her to like
I
a
remember
30-something-year-old.
that.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
What did she do? She came to my dad.
She came to our dad to say,
get-
"Can you help me?"
Can you help me? Because you can talk man to man with her dad.
Yeah.
And dad did. He said,
He
"कि क्यों
did.
तू अपनी कुड़ी दे नाल इंज कर रहा है?" He challenged him.
Yeah.
I don't know what the outcome was.
She did
She ended
eventually have to marry
but at
that
least there
guy.
was someone. I'm sure she felt some form of like
Comfort
hope
in
or
knowing
something.
that, yeah,
And then
that
there
someone
was
tried.
if dad saw some man coming in, this woman's carrying a baby and she's also trying to get groceries, he would be like, "Tu bacha pakad cha." Like, here,
No,
take this, carry
he
that.
told
Yeah.
us that one guy came and he said something like, wives or like something like "Pair diya juttiya" or something. He told him off. He said, he's like, no, I listen to my wife. My wife knows better than me. And I would never treat her less than me. And you need to start treating your wife better because she is better than you. You know, so he told her off. So dad is 100%
It
ally.
is important for and look, I think it's important to have conversations with the men in your life, brother, son, husbands, dads, right? Constantly like, hey, you are out there talking to other men. When you hear stuff that's disparaging towards women, I need you to stand up for me.
Speak
I
up.
need you to
Yeah.
speak up. I need you at the very least don't laugh at those jokes.
Exactly.
Some of those jokes are very borderline. Don't laugh at those jokes. I need you to stand up for me. I need
All
you to
the
do
wife
that.
jokes that older population
Yeah.
does. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's so tiring and it's not even funny.
But
not.
it's
You know,
important
just-
to have those conversations with the men in your life, and again, going back to teaching them, okay? Because they're for them it's just a joke. It's gone within 2 seconds. It's over. But for the woman, it's bad. It's setting a certain trend, right? We need to stop having that bias in our society, and in order to do that, we got to call out these stupid jokes, these stupid references, these things that are discriminatory. I'm not there in those spaces. If you hear those in those spaces, I need you to stand
Speak
up.
up. Yeah.
But
need
I
you
also want to
stand up.
clarify that it's not just Desi community where
It's
these issues
everybody.
are. This is truly everywhere. And we just have the other communities have been better at hiding it under sophisticated language, maybe, or they were just in power, and our Desi communities have been colonized, and they looked at Western world as like maybe better than because they were conditioned to think that. So we have a lot of good things also, and I want our Desi community to say, yes, we need to improve our language, our customs, our practices, but at the same time, don't put yourself down and think the other side, the grass is greener on the other side, because it's not.
100%.
The grass
Yeah.
is not greener anywhere for women, for sure. Okay, because if you go to, when I was in Africa a couple of months ago, we visited a tribal area, and so one man to how many ever wives? If you have enough cows to give as a dowry to her family, because they do the reverse dowry,
Yeah.
you can get as many wives
Basically,
as
you're
you want.
purchasing.
Yeah.
You're purchasing.
So some of them, they say like the very rich ones have like 30, 40 wives, right?
yeah,
Still.
because they're
Yeah.
able
This
to
is current.
purchase.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was talking to one of the guys and I said, look, this seems very strange. And he goes, yeah, but there's more women in the world. And I said, okay. So when you take on young wives, okay, because now these men are old. Let's say they're in their 40s and they're taking on newer wife. Now you got an 18-year-old, right? There is a flip side of it. There is a boy who was supposed to be her match, okay, because it's 50-50 when at birth. That now no longer has the option of a wife. Okay, so what happens to those boys? I would call them lost boys. And the same thing happens in the Mormon community. There's a concept of lost boys. And I was asking him. I said, "Do you guys have what happens to those boys? Because if you're going to take over 30 women, there are 29 boys out there who don't now have a match, and they, these things are not thought about. And those are the people, in my opinion, those." Marriage as an institution sometimes grounds people. Now you have a wife. Now you have kids. You're not going to go rob a bank. You got this going on. But if you don't have the option, you don't have a partner because it's been stripped away from you because these older men, more powerful men have taken over all the young girls. It causes chaos in the society. In my opinion,
ecosystem is not balanced.
There's no
Yeah.
balance. If you want to say the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, the higher power, the wisdom that's there, that is in this world, there's a reason there's 50-50. The chance of a boy or a girl is 50-50 because that balance has to be there. Everyone gets a match, sort of. But if you take that and it's not equal anymore, you're going to have chaos in the society. So it's greed.
Yeah.
Greed can be many things. Greed can be I want more partners than anybody else. It's greed.
Yeah.
But going back to the jokes, I wanted to make one more point that going back to the jokes, this is my belief that if you and I are equals, let's say we're friends, okay? And we're equals. We can joke with each other. I can make fun of you. You can make fun of me. And we're just laughing about it because it's so funny. Let's say if I am poor and you're rich, okay? And you make fun of my clothes, okay? You're like, oh, I think I saw you wear that yesterday, and I have only 2 outfits. So you're going to see me wear my today's outfit day after tomorrow, right? But you're making fun of my clothes, okay? But I actually can't afford clothes. So I'm at you making fun of my clothes is then unfair and it's abuse. But let's say we're about the equal and you make fun of my Chanel purse and you're like, your Chanel purse, like, look at this. And it's not abusive. Then then it could be funny. My problem with men making fun of women is exactly that. When you've got dowry deaths, when you've got thousands and thousands of women who are being killed or take their own life because of dowry, you got women who are physically being abused, emotionally being abused, to then crack a joke
Right.
is unfair. It's wrong.
Have you seen those? It's very disappointing that there are so many videos out there of, let's say there's a cake cutting ceremony happening and the girl happens to put a little bit of the cake on the guy's face and he slaps her. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I have.
And
It's
people were laughing. And I
People are
couldn't believe
laughing.
this broke my heart when I saw it. I was like, oh my God. Like,
You feel the pain,
I felt
the
the pain.
empathy.
And there's another one
I
recently
would
going
just divorce
around.
the person right then and there and just
I
walk
can't
away.
believe her entire family's there.
Yeah.
It's a wedding. Her entire family's there. And nobody said, we're not sending our daughter with
Yeah.
you. You know, because that's a sign right there that if he's doing this in public, God knows what he'll be like,
In
what kind of
private,
monster he
yeah.
is at home. But people found it funny.
You know,
People sometimes find
people are
women
cruel.
getting hit
Oh, I'm
funny. And
seeing
these are
that
other
in-
women they'll laugh
Yeah,
at
the
it too.
social media is full of cruel people. There's so much cruelty, and like I'm not even surprised anymore reading those comments. So yeah, that's like a mild thing. I think people are really, really cruel on social media.
They're really scary too.
Yes.
Yeah. All those crazy. Do you guys want to play a game?
Yes, we do. We love
well, it's
games.
actually, I mean, it's not really so we're not doing pretend or legit or pretend today. I actually, because I wanted people, I want you guys to name names. Okay.
Okay.
And these are just a couple of questions.
Okay.
And so you tell me who I'm referring to. I'm
Okay.
testing your knowledge.
So do we
okay?
just blurt it out? Or
You
do
just
wanna-
blurt it
Okay,
out. Whoever
okay.
blurts out first is all good. Okay. So she is best known as the conductor of the Underground Railroad, where she led hundreds of
Harriet
enslaved.
Tubman.
There you go. Okay.
All the education ones she's going to get.
And
Okay.
the thing, when I was like in 4th grade or 5th grade, I read a biography. I had to do a biography on a famous person. I did one on
Did you
Harriet
on
Tubman.
Harriet
I had no
nice.
idea who she was at that time. Okay. And just that story was so impactful at that age because she suffered from seizures. And so when she's out there in the fields, at times the seizure would hit and she would just, she's knocked out, right? Vulnerable out there. And somehow, with God's grace, she was able to do
back
so much.
so many times to
Back
get
and forth.
more back and forth.
Yeah.
You would think like she's reached her freedom point and she would stop.
She
there.
would not come back,
She
yeah.
kept coming back to rescue more and more people.
What an amazing
It was a
hero.
very, if you get a chance, if you want to read somebody's biography, and I'm not a fan of biographies in general, but it was good to know her story. It's very fascinating. And also, okay. We all enjoy and celebrate the tradition of langar at the Gurdwara. Name the person that created
Mata
serving
Mata
free.
Kiviji. I know
Mata
this.
Kiviji. Yes.
I had to say it. I'm like, Vanita
from
knows.
the 1500s.
Yeah.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Guru Angad Dev Ji's wife, right?
There you
Okay,
go.
so Mata
Yes.
Kiwi ji
Mata
started the
Kiwi ji.
tradition of langar.
And
She was-
we
well, she
should in
carried
every
on,
langar
yeah.
hall
have Mata ki
Ji's
Ji's
picture.
portrait.
A big one.
I love that
or
idea.
reference or something
and
so
she
people
was known
need to
for
know.
her kheer.
Can we get what's his name? The one who makes paintings.
Inquisitive.
Yeah, can we?
Can we
you
put
reach
it out
to
there?
him? Yes,
and
Maybe
tell
we
him
need
to make a
hang her
painting
picture behind
of
our
her. That would be
podcast.
lovely.
Yeah, that is true. Well,
Okay.
I noticed the other day I went to the Gurdwara. There was a small painting of her. It's very small, but it's like, okay, well, maybe something bigger. So
This
people
was
need to
in
know.
Riverside Gurdwara?
Yeah.
Can
like
we take a picture
better-
of that
better
and send it to
commemoration.
Inquisitive?
He
Okay.
probably has seen it because there's that famous popular picture, right, where she's
Oh, is that
serving
right?
langar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Professor Darshan Singh Ji and many Sikh scholars often call her the first Sikh.
Bebe Nanki.
Bebe Nanki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way,
she
I mean, I
is
did.
the-
Yeah, go ahead.
She is the one who actually bought the rabab and gave it to Pai Mardana ji.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bebe Nanki ji gifted the rabab to Pai Mardana ji. So the whole kirtan, the music, the instrument, it was Bebe Nanki ji's gift.
So, do you know what her name means?
Yeah.
Nanki because she was born in her Nanke.
Okay, I
But
thought
you know
I had.
what's
I
interesting?
thought I knew more than you.
No, but at the same time,
I was gonna tell you.
You know, like they say, like Guru Nanak Dev Ji's name Nanak. That sometimes they'll say it named after Bebe Nanki ji. Also, he was born in Nankana, but at the same time, I think it was either Professor Darshan Singh ji or somebody else who said it also has. If you look at the etymology of the word Nanak, it's what he preached. Na anik. There's not more than one. There's only one Vaiguru. Na anik. Nanak.
According to Maskeen ji, he said, yes, there's a deeper meaning out there. I'm just quoting him, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, there me, but it was because he was also born in his
Nankana.
Nanke.
Yeah,
Nanke. Can I? Actually, he wasn't born in his Nanke. He
I
was
thought
born
he
in.
was.
He was born in Talwandi. Yeah, he was
Isn't
born
that
in.
his
No,
Nanke?
no, that's their Bebe Nan. So I find it interesting. I talk to my kids because I teach Punjabi at the Gurdwara on Sundays. I was telling my kids this. This was my way of kind of making it more interesting. But also, as I was talking, I was thinking about this, that our Sikhi, our first Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, okay, look at the importance of Nanka Kar, okay, your mom's
Side of the family.
side of the family.
Maternal.
So his sister was named Nanki because she was born in the Nanka Kar. Okay?
Matriarchy. Was
And he was named Nanak after his sister.
After
so
his
Nanki the pra Nanak, okay, because he was born in his paternal home, okay. But the importance of those two things, the first Sikh, and then Guru Nanak Dev Ji,
the
obviously, our
first
first
Sikh
Guru,
is female.
female, and then also owed to her Nanka Kar. So if somebody wants to dismiss, and we tend to be very patriarchal, we say, okay, your father's side of the family is very important, this and that. Our Guruji is named literally after mother's side of the family.
And also, he didn't put the fact that the Janelle, he asked, does my sister get one too?
Yeah.
So he said, if the female is being discriminated against, then
Then
I'm
I
not
don't want it.
accepting this.
Yeah.
So he rejected it also. He rejected it on other factors also, but that was one of the
Also one of the
factors.
factors.
He said, will my sister get it too?
That's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. Switching gears because I wanted to mix it up a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. In Hinduism, she represents the power of good over evil. She's
Kali.
seen as a motherly figure and often depicted as a warrior riding a lion or tiger.
Mata Shera Wali?
Kali.
Shera. I don't know if Kali is the same, but Shera Wali Mata and Durga are the
Durga,
same.
it's the same
Okay.
thing.
Yeah,
Durga is the same as
Okay.
Shera Wali Mata. In Punjabi Hindus call her Shera Wali Mata because she's on a sher, but it's Durga.
And I don't think, I don't know. I wonder if Ma Kali is in South India, she's known
No, I
as
think
that.
Ma Kali
Or
is
is that
from
different?
Bengal. Bengal.
No, Ma Kali, mostly South Indians
no,
do it.
Bengal.
Durga Puja they have in Bengal.
No, Kali. It's the
Kali
same.
Mata.
Okay, so we have to stand corrected here. We
Yeah.
might not know
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
facts,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's Durga. To answer your question, is Durga, and people can comment if they can if they can tell us better.
We may not be as knowledgeable
Yeah,
on the
we're not as
Hindu,
knowledgeable.
Hindu deities.
But it is kind of fascinating. I do find all the Devis fascinating. I think I love that there's a women representation there.
Except in real life, they're not.
Well, that's the thing, that
real life-
the examples are there, you know?
if people choose
Okay,
to
so-
follow.
Could
moving
be that, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
It could be that a lot of those deities are based on like very early culture where, like in the tribals sense, that women chiefs were there. So it might have been more matriarchy at that time.
Right, that's a good point. Okay. Lastly, she introduced Guru Amar Das Ji to Sikh teachings and became
Bibi
initial
Amro.
link.
Bibi Amra.
Yes.
She did.
Yes,
She did.
yes, she did. And we are done. If you guys have a question or something you want us to work
No,
on.
I already asked my questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if Benita has
And you
any
know who
questions.
led, after Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who led the entire Sikh Panth for next 40 years?
Mata Sahib
Mata
Kaur.
Sahib Kaur Ji. She was our leader.
And she was the person who put, I don't know if everybody knows, but I guess I didn't know. She put Patase in
Patase.
the Amrit Chado Amrit Chakna Undai. So women have been very impactful
Yes.
in our history. I just wish more people knew.
We don't talk
More
about them
widely.
as much, but we need to.
Yeah.
Every Guruji's time, there was a powerful, I shouldn't say, well, powerful, but in an influential way.
Significant.
Somebody who shaped our history.
Right.
Mata Gujri Ji, all of them.